We're back reading from Alan Leo's book, Astrology for All, talking about Leo. It's chapter 8 in this book, and I've said this many times before that Leo is my favorite. It's really my favorite personality. Who doesn't like, well, I'm sure there's people that actually don't like this, but who doesn't like a childlike personality? They're fun. Let's see. The individual and personal character of the sign Leo. Leo is the middle sign of the maternal trinity. The middle sign of the maternal trinity. The second of the fiery triplicity, and also the second of the fixed signs. Therefore, it may be said to hold the central point in the zodiac. And when joined with the next sign, it certainly contains the essence of the whole 12 signs. Now, he said something about the maternal trinity. I thought he meant in the last chapter, I thought he meant the water signs. Now he's saying Leo's the middle sign. I don't quite understand that. But I can understand Leo being maternal because it's protective. It's the heart. Contains, when joined with the next sign, Virgo, it contains the essence of the whole 12 signs. Leo governs the heart, therefore it will be from this center that the character of those born in this sign must be judged. Therefore it is from this center that the character of those born in this sign must be judged. So they're judged. He's saying that their character is judged by what is their heart like. Standing as this sign does in the center, we shall sometimes find the forces of the heart running upward or downward, but only in those who are fully individualized, or as it is termed, self-conscious. Shall we find the consciousness centered in the heart? Read that again. The forces of the heart running upward or downward, but only in those who are fully individualized, or as it is termed, self-conscious, shall we find the consciousness centered in the heart. Generally speaking, the emotions are fully active in the Leo characters. They're forceful and highly magnetic and possessing an abundance of vitality. They carry with them an aura that is beneficial to all. I guess that's also why I would like Leo, because Cancer's on my 7th house cusp, and then Leo's in the 8th house. As it says here, the emotions are fully active. They're forceful and highly magnetic and possessing an abundance of vitality. They carry with them an aura that is beneficial to all. They're generally kind, warm-hearted, and loving, but usually like to express their love in action, their emotional nature being deep and of the heart. They can be impulsive and diffusive, but it is usually the impulse of a general nature. Of a generous nature. They possess a very attractive individuality and are always decided characters. They are usually very practical with regard to their ideals, as they would prefer to live them rather than talk of them. While the Aries nature usually spins wonderful ideals in thought and ever seems to be straining after the unattainable, the Leo types are silently and quietly seeking to make them realities. This comes from their wonderful faith, which they inherently possess. And their motto is generally, whatever is must be best. But this comes when the Leo nature is awakened and the desire has been sent out to unify the individual with the individual will with the supreme will. I was going to say, I know some Leos. They are not, he's talking about really the individualized Leo, the actualized Leo, to say whatever is must be best. I know some people that would go against that motto, or live against that motto. Being the center of the fiery triplicity, they possess a very strong love nature, which makes them very ardent and sincere in their affections. As the second of the fixed signs, they have more unity of will and desire, and in contrast with the Taurians, act more on the side of will than that of desire. That's another reason why I think I like Leo. You could say that this is true. The unity of will and desire, and as the contrast as I talked about with the Taurus people, they can be more on the will side. They can be more bare in the desire side. I prefer the will, having a strong will than that desire. Um, I suppose with myself, my desires just aren't that consistent and strong as say like a pure Taurus. The Leos love to rule, but it is more from the heart and motive than from the head. They are philanthropic and always obey the impulses of the heart where sympathy is concerned. This sign produces individuals who are more thorough than any of the other signs, and they seem to combine the practical with the philosophical and the ideal with the real. When self controlled, they are wonderful individuals, being able to influence great numbers. They have the power to send their thoughts to any distance, and when conserving their energies, heal through sympathy. They have the power to send their thoughts to any distance. What's that all about? I knew someone who was. You have to look at the rest of the chart, but that just reminds me of someone who talked about telepathy, and she was a Leo. Uh, where was I? They have the power to send their thoughts to any distance, and when conserving their energies, heal through sympathy. They seem to radiate from their center a beautiful warmth like the sun, which is ruler of their sign. I have another story that comes to mind. I was on a date once with a Leo, and let's just say this was extreme. This was extreme in the sense I went to extreme distances, etc., to be around this person, and she was kind of homeless. I would say as well. She was homeless. She was living with her sister, and I got this weird. I was in the car with her, and I got this really weird vibe that she was using the hell out of me. Like, and this reminds me of this power to send their thoughts. And it wasn't like it was just. I don't pay attention to stuff that much, but it was almost like evil. Like it was. My thoughts were get away from this person as quickly as possible, and knock off this nonsense that you're doing here, and move on. They seem to radiate their center a beautiful warmth like the sun, which is ruler of their sign. But when turning their forces downward and living to the personal side of life, they are very amative, with very strong passions. It is sometimes found it is sometimes found that the weakest and the strongest individuals come out of this sign. The weakest are those who are easily led through their feelings, which is often caused by associating with those who take advantage of their Leo nature. They then fall into dissipation and may become dissolute characters, but within the true spiritual fire is ever burning, and phoenix like they rise out of the dead ashes of themselves to greater and nobler things. This sign is known by astrologers as the house of the sun, and it is through this sign that the rays of the sun become more powerful and more fully charged with potent life and energy. When these persons seek to become self conscious, they seem to make more rapid strides in this direction than born under other signs. And possessing, as they do, such very sensitive natures, they are able to readily respond to spiritual influences. Their faith then becomes marvelous. and the whole of their life seems to be devoted to doing good to others. Leo governing the heart causes this part of the system to be the center, most easily affected when the character is inharmonious and the life running to discord and disorder instead of peace and progress. That reminds me of Gemini. Like we just reading Gemini talking about nervous disorders and anxiety and working out the life so that that's taken care of regardless of anything else. Very important. And then here saying when the character is inharmonious and the life running to discord and disorder instead of peace and progress. And I think this is something too that this is just good advice for any sign, really. When you're not living up to the nobler and higher character levels of a sign, and it's not, as he says, character is inharmonious, you can be affected. I do think that there's some truth to that. Your health can be affected. And with today's medical system or advances in medical, the medical field, I think people get away with this and they ignore it because they can get away with it from a standpoint of taking a pill or being fixed by a doctor or having dependency on a therapist or something like that, rather than working out the character. And sometimes it's easier said than done. They suffer through the circulation, which sets up many troubles of a more or less feverish nature. And this in turn reacts upon the mind, bringing gloom and despondency. It is essential for the well-being and perfect health of all Leo persons that they have a certain time, if only a few minutes each day, when they can be quite alone and at perfect rest. This enables them to start the machinery from the heart at an even and harmonious rate of vibration. Their best medicine is love, peace, and harmony. All Leo persons succeed best where they have authority or hold some high and responsible position. But in trades or professions, they will do best as jewelers or goldsmiths. I did know a jeweler. Well, she was a salesperson for a jeweler, and she was a Leo sun. Or goldsmiths as writers of love stories or dramatic sketches. They would also make excellent musicians and poets. Of course, known many Leos who loved poetry. Although they possess great strength and vitality, they are not fond of laborious work, and they can only be really happy in positions of trust and management. We may sum up the Leo person as a firm and self-controlling individual, and one who is ever aiming at high and noble things. They are all born with a nobility of character which can only be counteracted by contradictory planetary influences. They are generous to a fault, faithful, sincere, and earnest. Got someone in the chat, finally, 10 hours later. Red light, green light, what's up? What's on your mind? They're generous to a fault, faithful, sincere, and earnest, and although somewhat ambitious and persevering, is nearly always turned in the direction of self-perfection. Of course, Virgo is the next sign. If you have Leo, you more likely than not have Virgo in your chart. Although I do know my sister had a lot of Leo, and she had no Virgo in the chart somehow. This sign gives the intuitions of the heart, and as the center of the maternal trinity, it holds and binds all the others by the power of love. Yeah, and if Leo isn't acting in that from that heart center, as he mentioned, This can cause a lot of problems that the Leo person may be unaware of. And they would do good to become aware of them so that they didn't have these problems come up in the future. Well, that's the end of Leo. If anyone doesn't have any questions or wants to chat in the chat there, I'll be closing this down and doing Virgo next. Welcome in. Just ending the reading on Leo. If you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say about your chart, about astrology. Going to get into Virgo next. Finished up with the first 5 chapters of Alan Leo's Astrology for All. I'm going to end it there. There's no questions or comments, and have a great night.